everybody. This is the Q&A with Kresley Cole. This is not live, and since we couldn't do it live, I asked readers on our reader group on Facebook if they had questions for Kresley, and they did. We're gonna start right off. Okay, so
Yes.
Kresley, what is a
Yes.
piece of advice you would offer a romance writer when it comes to the craft of writing?
To the craft of writing. Oh my gosh. I just read widely. That was
Mm-hmm.
the advice I got when I was first starting out, and it really does help. And it's like a muse infusion when you read others' writings, and to write every day. You
Yeah.
have to write every day. Finish that first book.
And do you have rules for each book that you follow?
I have guidelines like themes uh that I want to play up. Like for Lothair, I really wanted to never forget that he was a villain.
Mhm.
He might be the hero of a romance novel, but he's still very much a villain.
Yeah.
And so I had it on a post-it note. Remember, this is not a nice guy. And so
I think you
never
managed
wanted
that well.
to,
Yeah,
I never wanted to deviate from that. He's a villain. Yes.
I love that. Have you always wanted to be an author?
No, I hated writing. I hated reading when I was young.
Really?
Yes, no one could make me read a book. I could not stand books. And then a friend gave me VC Andrews and Stephen King, and I started reading those, and it was like a new world opened up. And
Mhm.
then I couldn't get enough.
But why romance then? Like why romance in particular?
Well, I came to romance when I was about 18 or 19. And they were addictive. I could not stop reading them. It was like, okay, if you love Stephen King, yes, but this is going to take it up an entirely new notch. Like if you wished his books had happy endings, then
Mhm.
all of a
Oh
sudden,
yeah.
yeah, there's this new genre that is fast paced and amazing, and these writers are these wonderful women that are writing about love, and all the endings are happy. And I think I lost a semester reading romance novels.
Oh
Just
wow.
couldn't stop.
And here you are.
And here I am. Yeah.
I love it. How do you come up with names like characters or places?
Well, some of them are they're based in history. Some of them like Omort
Mhm.
means without death. And so he's the deathless one, and so it was just Omort the deathless. But I'm always looking at new ways to find different twists on a name. So it's hard to name a lot of
Oh
characters,
yeah.
especially the farther you go on, and you don't want to name a character something that your best friend is writing, or so those names are off the table forever, and then your names are off the table forever, and then all of a sudden, everybody's gonna be.
Yeah, it's getting complicated, especially in the ID series now, because it's a pretty
Yes.
big series with lots of characters.
Right.
But
Right. I
yeah.
have a spreadsheet, and I have to put it in to the spreadsheet to make sure that I don't duplicate
Really?
names, or
I
that
love
they
it.
will sound similar on an audiobook.
No,
You
that's true. That is
Yeah.
true.
Yes.
Yeah. So besides your desk, do you have any other places you like to write?
When I'm editing, I do it. I'm writing freehand on a tablet with PDF, so I
Mhm.
can do that anywhere. I mean, that's in the car, anywhere.
Yeah, I
And I like
remember when you took photos of your computer and you sent to me.
I was on the highway and
Yeah.
there were bumps, and I was like, "Can she even read? I don't know if she
You're
can
like,
read
can
this."
you even read that? Yes, I can.
Yeah, I must have sent you like 30 text messages. Here's another one. Here's another one. Yeah,
I loved it though. I think it was
you were a
pretty
good
funny.
sport. You were a really good sport about that.
I
Yeah,
thought it was
you said, "I have time right now. Do you wanna do this right now?" And I was on the highway, and this was perfect time, and I texted back to you, "Rock and
yeah,
roll!"
I know. And the best part is your photos were live photos. So every time I would click on them, it would move. And I was like, okay,
Right.
what am I looking
You
at?
must have been dizzy, and
Um, so do you ever have find idea pop up and have to write it down before you forget, or like, sorry, I'm reading the question as I go, and sometimes,
Yeah.
so sometimes you have ideas that pop up in your head and you're like outside, and so do you have to write them down, or do you just keep
Yes.
them in your head? Do you have to write them
Yes.
down?
Because when I started writing, I didn't have a smartphone to take notes in, so this was a long time ago in a different era,
Oh,
and
so long
so
ago.
so long ago, but there was no.
I probably wasn't born yet.
You probably were. You and so we had no way of just taking notes unless you had, pen and paper with you. And now you can do a voice memo or take down notes. And so it makes it so much easier. And then um, but my biggest problem is waking up in the middle of the night with an idea. And I have finally trained myself, get up out of bed and write it down. And I tell myself I'll remember. I'll tell
Yeah.
myself, no, you don't have to. You can go right back to sleep. You don't have to do this. And now I know I have to do it because it's the worst feeling in the world when you have that hollow, what was it? I can't quite remember. It's on the tip of my brain. And so I try to avoid that.
So do you sometimes wake up in the middle of the night with
Oh
an
yes.
idea
Oh
all the
yes.
time?
Sometimes I dream them. Uh
Oh, I love
I
it.
because every night before I go to bed, if I can't go to sleep, I'm tossing the story around. I go right to the beginning, and then I try to take the entire book through as far as I've gotten,
Mhm.
just playing it out in my head. And then because I'm always getting to the fork in the road, the tree diagram. So do I go right or left? And so that's what I do before I go to bed is I'm always thinking about what happens if I go left and I'll follow that through, or what happens when I go right and I'll follow that through. And a lot of times the answer won't come to me, which is the best route. And that's what happens in the middle of the night. I wake up and I go, oh my gosh, so clearly you have to go right, because if you go left, then you're going to be in this quagmire. You're just going to get stuck. There's no way out of it. So that's what I have to remember, is to get up, write down that of course you meant to go to the right.
Oh, I
So,
love that. I
yeah.
mean, I
So
remember
that's
you
funny
saying that
how.
you used a dream of yours, I think, to write,
Yes.
was it Naomi's books or
Yes.
something? Mhm.
Yes.
I remember
Naomi's
reading that.
book. Yeah. And there's a lot of times I'll dream something and wake up, and a lot of these are books that I haven't written yet, so they are in a folder. And I would
Mm.
like to, yeah,
One day.
one day I would like to explore those more. But a lot of times it's just trying to figure out where I am in the current book, like what's my
Yeah.
position.
That's what I
So
was gonna ask you. Like when you're writing a book, do you dream just of that book, exclusive for that book, or do you just dream like it could be anything?
oh gosh, I mean, it could be anything, but when I'm editing a book, I noticed a lot of the times I'm editing, or I'm having a nightmare that I didn't get to put an edit in, and it went out, and it's out in the wild, and readers are reading it, and it's the worst feeling, because
You
like,
can't do
I had
anything.
to edit here, and I really wanted it to get into the final copy, and luckily that's never happened. So knock on wood, that's never
Mhm.
happened. Um,
It won't. It won't.
yeah.
So are you a plotter or a pantser?
I am a pantser, and I wish I was a plotter, but I would try to make outlines, especially in the early days when I was submitting books
Mhm.
to publishers. You had to have an outline, and so I would take care to put together these outlines, and I deviated so wildly from them, and I always have, that it I got discouraged about the progress
Yeah.
process.
Mhm.
And but I if you can do it, you should do it, because pantsing is pretty wild. The surprises come a mile a minute, and some of them are wonderful surprises, but a lot of them are uh
Not.
not
It's like
not
I can't change this now. Like this is not possible.
you're stuck. Uh yeah, but I've
So you're a
been very.
pantser.
Yes, I'm a pantser, but I've been very fortunate that if I do get in that position to where I can't, uh, like I have gotten myself into a quagmire. There's no way out of this. I've been very fortunate that I've been able to go back and rewrite 100 pages or 200 pages, and and I don't feel fortunate at the time, but later when I'm rereading it, I feel so good that I went back and I did that work and I fixed what the problem was.
Yeah.
So
Because
that happened. I've said that before with Wicked Abyss. It was wrong. I didn't know why it was wrong, and it was just something was just off about it, and
Yeah.
I couldn't relax, and I couldn't feel good that I had finished it, and
So you had finished it?
I had finished. I've been paid for it. I was scheduled to go
God.
on vacation, and I called my editor, and I was like, "It's wrong, and I know what's wrong." I woke up in the middle of the night, realized what was wrong with it, and she said, "Well, how much is it? What are you gonna have to do to fix it?" And I was like, "Well, there's no vacation for one thing, and uh,
Mm.
I I'm gonna have to rewrite
Oh
200
my
pages."
god.
Yeah, and I
Oh
did.
my
I
god.
rewrote 200
You
pages
did
on
it,
that.
and it's an amazing book. I love that book a lot.
I'd like to
So,
reread it, and if I had kept the ending that I had and kept the parameters that I had written in the first go on that, it would not have been enjoyable to me. I would
yeah.
not want to reread it.
Yeah, because I know you like to reread your books.
Yes,
That's a big thing for you, and I love that.
yes.
I really do. Okay, let's move on. Um, the Arcana Chronicles now coming to an end. Come, like
Mhm.
it's ended now. Yay. Um, do you have plans to write maybe in the future a new series other than Immortals After Dark? Or you
Yes,
can,
yes.
yes, you do.
Or,
Okay.
yes, I've already started putting together the ideas and had some of those middle of the night writing notes on the new series, and I've actually got, like, 3 different series that I really am burning to write.
Oh, that's exciting. You have to tell me more about that when
Right.
recording.
We're not recording. Well, and I think it's so, it's helpful for me. I don't wanna speak for all authors, but it's helpful for me to write in more than one series
Yeah.
because it just makes things, uh to write in the Immortals After Dark series constantly without taking breaks to do the Arcana Chronicles or the Game Maker series, I would have, burned out
Burned
in
out. Yeah.
yeah,
That
no
makes
way.
sense. That makes
They're
sense
very
because
difficult.
it's a very heavy series, like lots of
Yes,
characters and lots of things
yes,
to keep track of. So
yes.
it makes total sense though.
Yeah, and also I think I would get in a rut, and so I'm very mindful not to get in a rut. I want to
Which book are
protect
you most
either
proud of?
that varies. The answer, if you ask me in a week, will be different from the answer I give you today. It just
Yeah.
depends on how I'm feeling or what kind of mood I'm in. If it just all depends. It's kind of like asking who's your favorite family member, and
Depends
it
on
all
the day.
depends. Yeah, it depends on the day. Um, what book am I take that back. Uh, it's usually the book that I've just finished because I
Hmm.
know how hard it tried to kill me,
Oh
and I
yeah.
know that that we have survived one more book. But so right now, I'm proudest of from the grave because it
Yeah,
was definitely
you should
the
be.
most heartbreaking book
You
that I've
did
ever
you
tried to.
Yeah, you should be proud of that book. I think it's an amazing conclusion and I think most readers will feel the same. So,
Thank you.
definitely.
I mean, that one nearly killed me. That one was tough to write, but we're
But
here.
worth it. I mean, you did it. It's out there. It's
I
out there
can't
now.
believe it is out there. I know. I'm about to start tearing up just thinking about it because
Oh, we're
I
going to do the incentive Q&A later, like
yeah.
later, and you're going to talk
Well, I
about
don't
it
want
and
to. I don't want to cry. I don't want to. I've been at this desk too many times, just Kleenex everywhere. Sweet coming in and being like, "What? What?"
one of the question is, do you cry while writing?
Yes,
So,
yes. And not like I have ever. Like you could take the 34 or 33 other books
yeah,
and how much I cried, and it is a fraction of how much I cried when I was writing
from the grave.
from the grave. Yeah. I it was I did not want to end the series. I wanted to continue on, but I knew it was the organic end of it. This is where
Hmm.
the end needs to be. And I would have kept those characters alive forever and thinking about them forever. And so that was part of the reason why it was so sad. So bittersweet was just letting go of them.
Yeah, I understand that, especially because you had been writing it for a long time, like
Yeah.
13 years.
13 years.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ugh,
that's a long time. Don't
that's
let's move on.
okay.
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 Uh,
I
as
don't
you,
have Kleenex up here. I have used all my Kleenex, so
I
don't make me
have some.
cry.
I have some. I mean,
Oh, thank
maybe through the
you.
screen.
Oh, it's French Kleenex. Oh,
I
I bet it
know.
smells like lavender.
Okay, so have you ever thought you were ready to write about a certain character, but another just kept insisting it was their turn?
It's never happened to me. Um, when I'm playing with an idea for a book going forward, I I'll kind of entertain different ideas,
Mhm.
if some character wants to step up, but once I've committed, it's I don't
It's out there and
really
it's done.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's done. Yeah.
Okay. What is the most important thing you wish readers knew about you and or your writing?
The most important thing that I
Yeah.
wish readers knew, that I won't ever half-ass it. I will never if you have a book in your hands and it has my name on it, then I have gone to the mat for that book. And I'm in a position now to where I won't I don't have to and I feel like I never have had to put out a book that I wasn't really proud of. So the one thing I wish readers knew is that I will I just won't phone it in. I won't
Yeah.
half-ass it. I won't rush it. And I if it's in your hands, that's the exact book that I wanted you to read. And it might not suit you and
Mhm.
it, of course, it's not gonna appeal to everyone,
No, yeah.
but it is the book that I want to reread and it's the book I wanted you to read.
I love that. That's a really great answer. Love
Thank
it.
you.
Without giving anything away, have you ever seen or heard any fan theories that were right for upcoming books and any that you liked enough to incorporate into the books?
I try to avoid fan theories. I am so scared that I'm gonna come across one that is very similar to an idea that I've come up with or something, and I never want to impede other
Mhm.
people's imaginations with the series, and I never want to just take an idea, and so I try to avoid them.
Uh-huh,
I try
okay.
to avoid-
That makes sense.
yeah,
Do you ever base your character's personality traits based off of people you know?
not really. I mean, maybe like a map, how you take little things, you
Mhm.
take little traits or but never wholly. Like I
Yeah.
would never just wholesale take someone and say, I'm gonna base
Do you listen to music while
I
writing?
do. I can't write without music. And when I can edit and I can
Mhm.
freehand, but when I'm, trying to get word count up or really hoping to get a good start on the book, I've got to have music. It's like pure adrenaline that comes in, and I curate lists of playlists that will help me with emotional scenes, with action scenes, with attitude scenes. If the heroine
Mm.
has some big attitude, we're gonna get some big tunes going. And I try not to listen to music at all unless I am writing. It's my treat. It gets me to the
Oh,
desk. Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So I, it's like for From the Grave, it was Nuvole Bianche,
Mhm. You sent
Ludovico
that to me.
Einaudi. Yes, and I did it over and I listened to it over and over and over and over, and it helped
Crying.
crying to sobbing, and it and it made the time jumps feel as they it was the perfect music for the time jumps in the
Mhm.
end. I don't know how much are we spoiling in these questions?
Well, this is the general Q&A, so let's not spoil too much.
Okay, okay.
Of the Game Maker series, would you consider writing more along those lines?
Oh, okay. Yes, never say never. So I know authors who've written like 200 books, and that's my goal is to write
Oh yeah,
just a couple hundred
let's do
books.
it.
Why not? Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Let's do it.
that means that I've barely dipped a toe in this, so I can't say I'll never write something ever again, but I would love to. I'd love
No, I
to
love
do
that series.
it
Oh,
again.
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, let's move on.
Thank
What
you.
passions do you have outside of writing?
Gosh, I love swimming, hiking, spending time with family, dogs, and really, if I could do anything every day, I would love to hike every day, camp and hike. Yep. You're like, nope, not me. Nope,
No,
nope,
no.
uh-uh, not Naomi. She's saying hard no on that.
It's fine. You can go hiking and I can like go to a nice hotel
Yes,
and join you during the day, go back,
that's perfect.
it's fine.
That sounds perfect.
We can make it work. It's fine.
Yes, just be waiting with wine, that's all, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, do you have a book or character that you regret?
No.
No. Yeah, makes sense from what you've told before.
Yes.
Do you have a connection to New Orleans as it's featured in many of your books?
Yes, I do. I have family from there and, still there, and, I just love it. Some of my earliest memories were going to Saints games when I was very, very young, and, I've always loved the city. I go back whenever I can,
Mm-hmm.
and I suggest everyone goes.
I've
It's
never
more
been.
than
I
Mardi
really want
Gras.
to go.
It's more
I,
than Mardi Gras. It's wonderful.
I bet it is. No, I bet it is. But
Oh,
I've never been. I would love to go though.
yes, and go to Cajun country and get Cajun food and,
Any
um,
plans to write more YA books?
maybe. Yes,
Who knows?
maybe. Who knows? It's one of those 200 books. I'm sure it'll
Yeah,
come around again. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Never say never.
Never say never.
Um, I'm very curious about the epigraphs you do for your characters. Where did you first get the inspiration to write them?
That was to help me remember who the characters were. So I would write just the epigraph to just try to I would look at it every day
Mm-hmm.
before I would start writing, and it would just remind me, I'm this character. This is the one line
Oh,
that will help me, that defines
the
me.
character.
And
Yeah.
so it was a nice reminder. And then
Oh, I
so I
like
just
that.
in there, yeah.
So you write them first then, and then you write the story.
Well, sometimes I've written them and they've changed remarkably.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So,
That's interesting.
yes,
Um, was it difficult to get the swing of writing dual POV when you first started?
dual
Like
POV.
knowing when to switch between one and the other.
That's tough. Yes. Yes. And the advice I believe is, who is the most at stake? That needs to be their point of view. Uh, but I also like writing a, a point of view when the person doesn't have a lot of at stake, just so this person is observing another character's
Mm-hmm.
emotions and the thinly veiled emotions there. And I think there's a lot to mine there. And it lets readers kind of imagine what this character is going through.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, there's
I like that.
exceptions to every rule. Yeah,
Good answer.
thank you.
Where do you get your inspiration for your characters and world building?
It's usually it's iterative, you're adding each time. It doesn't come immediately. It's just each edit you go through and you're like, oh, this would be nice if I added this, or this would be nice if I added this. Like when I first wrote the first Immortals After Dark story, it was Regan's
Mm-hmm.
story. And
Oh, it was?
it was Regan's story, and it's completely different. But it was functional, but it wasn't flavorful. There was not that flavor there, and it would take many iterations and revamping it and everything to make it flavorful. So I think it doesn't come in just a wellspring of idea. It's iterative.
Yeah. Okay. What was the hardest book you ever had to write?
Probably From the Grave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the easiest?
The one that didn't I didn't feel like I was at death's door at the end of it was Dark Sky.
Yeah.
And uh and
Why is
that's
that, you think?
I don't know, because the time loops on that, where we yes, I must have written those. I was in a
That's a
time loop.
that's a pretty crazy book too. I mean, I love it. It's a favorite
It's
of mine. It's my top 5.
those time loops nearly killed me, and I felt like I was in a time loop because I rewrote them like 100 times, um and I was I was as cursed as Lanthy was, or actually it's Thronos was cursed, but So yeah, that I don't know why that one felt better
But
at the end.
yeah,
Like
it
I was
was
able to walk across I usually am crawling across the finish line, and friends drag me at that point, just come on. I've
you can
got
do it. You can
you
do
can do
it.
it. And that one I actually felt like I could walk on my own across the finish line. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
why. I think about it a
See?
lot. Yeah, because I want to repeat that.
Yeah, exactly. You want to do
How
that again.
secret? What was the secret sauce on that? Yes.
Will you ever in the future ever do book signings again? Would you
I
like
want
that?
to. I want to, yes. I miss meeting readers and hearing back from them, in person, how they're feeling about the books. And so I do miss that.
Mhm. Yeah. One day
Yeah.
we'll make that happen. You know
Yeah.
what? I'll make anything happen.
I know.
Mhm.
You're a force of nature. Do not doubt this.
Okay. Where did you get the idea for the series?
For the series, I was with friends in New Orleans, and we had our fortunes told, tarot cards read, in Jackson Square, and a friend pulled the death card, and I it's not a bad card. It looks really bad. Like,
Mhm.
oh gosh, she's waiting for lightning to strike her at any moment, and it actually means change, and just releasing what doesn't serve you.
Mhm.
And I'd had a few. There were a couple of drinks had, and so I pulled up the card and I said, "What would you do if you saw this guy walking down the street?" And one friend said, "I would run for my life," and the other friend said, "Oh my gosh, I would buy him a drink." And I said, "Okay, there's something there. I can work with that."
Oh, I love
So
it. That's how it started. Do you practice tarot in your personal life?
I
Or
used to more than I do now. Yeah.
mhm.
That's under the self-care. You need more self-care. It was very soothing, and it's something that I really enjoyed, and I hope to do more of in the future.
Okay. When you created the series, did you always know it was going to be a love triangle, or did that happen while writing?
I wanted to do a love triangle.
You
Yes.
did.
I'd never been able to do one, in the romance genre. Uh, I'm not say I never could do one, but, the conventions were a little different for each genre. And so I wanted to have the opportunity to
Mhm.
explore it. I really enjoy it.
Love triangles are mostly in YA though, so that makes sense
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're mostly seen in YA.
I know.
Okay. Um, in the Arcana Chronicles, who was your favorite character? Did you have one?
Oh gosh, there's ah, who did I like writing best? I mean,
Yeah,
is that's difficult to say. I guess it would be Evie, but
yeah.
it's a really close tie. I like how Evie tries and she grows, but she tries.
She grows a lot. She does.
Yeah, and she knows she's going to get it wrong a lot of the time, but it doesn't stop her from trying. And I think I'm trying to remember that we all make mistakes, but the important part is you keep trying.
Good trying. Yeah, it's a good answer.
Thank you.
There seems to be a little bit of Lothar in Eric. Was that intentional?
Uh, no, it wasn't intentional. But I probably had in mind the same type of sexy villain, the villain you love to hate.
Mhm.
Because Eric was a villain,
Oh, yeah.
and Endless. He was the villain in Poison Princess and Endless Night, and so I was probably channeling this idea of a villain you love to hate, sexy villain.
Yeah. And they both have white hair, so like white
Yeah,
blonde hair, so I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
The question is, as far as I remember, I don't think we ever learned Death Arcana Cole. Will we ever find out what it is?
It's in From the Grave.
Yeah, so go buy it and read it, and
Never
you'll
told
find
people to
out.
go buy my book
Yes, you should buy the books. Buy all of them.
yet.
So, do you have favorites among your female and male characters in Immortal After Dark? maybe what were your favorite to write or
Mm. Uh, Gosh, it varies. I'll tell you a different answer next week. It's what kind of mood I'm in, really. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
each heroine kind of represents a different facet of life and where you're at, and if I want to read about a warrior witch finding her own, I want to go to Caro. If I want to read about someone, gosh, that's tough. I really don't have a favorite.
Well, they're all your babies
Yeah,
though, so I understand.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Someone asked, I love how you do your timelines in Immortals After Dark. How do you keep track of what happened to each character in the overall timeline of the series?
So I use spreadsheets, but I also reread the books. So before I start on an Immortals After Dark, I'll reread the series, and then
The
halfway through.
entire series?
Oh yeah, and then halfway through, which is getting harder and more time consuming
Yeah.
each book. So and then halfway through, I'll do it again, and then right
Oh,
before the
wow.
book is out of my hands, where I cannot touch it again, I will reread the connected books. And I've tried to take notes, and I've tried to and the spreadsheets do help, but it just is not the same because there's
That's
a
not the
feel.
same.
Yeah, it's just not the same. There's no note that I can write that will convey the feeling that you get when you're in amidst the book. So
Yeah, makes sense.
have to keep reread. Yeah. But
That's
luckily
great. That is crazy. Do you read fast though?
I read pretty fast. I yeah, and luckily I like to reread them.
Hmm.
It's enjoyable.
Without naming characters, do you have any concrete plans for the IED series?
I do. I know what needs to happen.
Hmm.
And but it's also one of those pantser plotting uh differences. I can't plot out exactly how I'm gonna get there,
Yeah.
but I know
You
which
know,
books need to come up. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
In
Hmm.
in the timeline. Yes.
Interesting.
Well, like Nyx is not up next. I can definitely say
Oh,
that.
yeah. Well, that makes sense though, because I feel like she's in the center of the series,
Yes.
and it wouldn't make sense for her to have her story right away.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
When you begin writing Immortals After Dark, how much of the story was already there? Like, was Nyx your first character you had in mind, or did
Yeah, it was Regan. It was Regan.
Regan?
I was doing a proposal, 3 chapters and an outline, and it was Regan was the first character. But
Oh,
she yes, and it ended up being completely different from what I had written though, which is a good thing. Yeah, I
so
look
this
back.
the first book in the like timeline reading order is Warlord Wants Forever. So is that the first one you wrote?
I was working on that at the same time as Hunger Like No Other.
Okay,
Uh, yes, so it's the first that was published, but I was working on uh Emma's story as well.
okay. I always wanted to ask that. So
Yeah.
there we go.
Now you have
Uh, what is your writing routine? Like, how do you get in the IED mindset?
music, and then to get into the IED mindset, gosh, just music, and then just start writing, and then hope that you lose track of time, and you lose track of where you are, and you lose track of everything, and someone walks in your office and scares you. Like if I jump and I'm clinging to the ceiling, then all's gone well. Yeah.
Awesome. Which character for you was hard to write in the IED series?
Gosh, it's more a question of when they show themselves. Like Cadian did not show himself
Mm-hmm.
for the like I would, and Regan didn't either. I would write functional dialogue and had no flavor. I would write this first draft, and they did all the things that they were going to do. It was choreographed the same, but there was no punch. There was no impact from these characters. And especially with Regan, I got to the end of the first draft and I said, I don't know this character. I don't, and she's supposed to be funny. In every other book, she's been funny. And I kind of panicked because the deadline was approaching, and this is not the character that that was promised, and this is not the character I've written about. And so, I was very panicked actually, and
I mean, it's normal. Your normal state then at the end of a.
state, absolute panic. Yeah, so then the question is, how do you make someone be funny when they're not being funny, you know? And then I wrote the pain poison scene with Declan, and these one-liners started coming out. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, all
And
right, I can
it
work
is.
with this.
I understand though because that book is heavy. Like it's a pretty. It is
Yes,
a pretty dark book,
yes,
so I can
yeah.
understand how hard it must have been to make it funny at the same time as and not lose that darkness and not lose that seriousness as well.
And we needed her to be light
Yeah.
and funny to offset that heaviness, and it wasn't happening in that first draft. And then also with Katie, and the deadline was coming, and I'm like, this is a nice hero. He's fine.
He's
You
sweet.
know, he's fine. And I guess, but
Let's
it
burn
wasn't.
off his hands.
Yeah. and and then, as the deadline approaches, it's like the deadline fueled muse, and then as the deadline approaches and you do more and more iterations and more drafts, and then one line will sneak in, and then I'm like, this is a funny character. He's fun, and he's lackadaisical and feckless, and I can work with that. And then you go back and um you overlay that throughout the entire book, and then it starts to feel better.
Hmm. Okay, so Kate and Regan were harder to write.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a past IED books whose story almost had a totally different plot?
The Wicked Abyss. Yeah,
Wicked
Wicked
Abyss.
Abyss did. And I'm so glad that it didn't. It would not have worked at all. And I can go back
That's
and reread
do
what
do you
I
still have those
oh
scenes
yeah,
though? Oh yeah, you
yes,
do? Oh wow.
yes. Yeah, because I turned it
Interesting.
in. I have the email where I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I'm turning this in, but I'm not sold on this
That
at
is
all.
crazy though. Like how much time did you have to rewrite everything?
I think it was definitely under a month,
Oh my
because we
god.
were in the schedule. I mean, it had already been passed for copy editing for press,
Oh
and
my god.
I was very lucky that I was able to take it back and rewrite it. But it was very tight. I
Oh, I
was
bet.
Yeah,
Wow.
but
Crazy.
I'm very happy that it happened though.
Yeah, because now you're happy with the book.
Yeah, and then it seems like that was the journey for that book, and
Hmm.
yeah.
And did you always like? Did you ever change the pairing? Like, did you start writing a book thinking, oh, I'll pair those two characters together, and it just wouldn't work?
I've not done that. I've not started a book and said they could be with someone else, because hopefully, I mean, if they've been in past books,
Yeah,
the personalities are pretty cemented, and I hope that it feels organic, that who they're going to be with,
yeah.
that it is that good fit. So I don't want to ever shoehorn someone in with someone that they shouldn't be with.
Hmm. Okay. Um, with a series like IED, having so many characters and so many storylines, do you ever find yourself falling into another character's voice when they aren't the one you're currently writing about?
I don't think so. It's what we were talking about earlier, how it's very bland, the first draft um with the dialogue. So it's almost voiceless, the dialogue. And then it takes so many edits and iterations to
Yeah.
to build on so that's how it develops it. But I never felt like it's just an infusion of a voice from another character.
Yeah. Okay. What inspired you to create Berto?
Oh gosh,
Everyone loves them.
well, I feel like Nyx's existence is so lonely because she is in her own world, and no one can like comprehend what's going on in her mind, but she's journeying alone. She has people all around her, but her journey is very solitary. So I
Oh,
wanted her to have a companion, to take with her everywhere. So it had to be something, a creature that she could take everywhere. And then it was very late one night and I was serious on deadline and I was like, what can I name this bat that would make me laugh and make readers laugh? And I said, it should be Birtle. And I was laughing by myself like a mad woman up in
I love it. I
the
love
office.
Bertle. And he's in the book, it says that he's a gift from someone. Will we ever find out who that
Yes.
person is?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Um, okay, so I had a question about the
Okay.
Morior in Immortals After Dark.
Okay. Yes.
Did you always know that you were going to introduce them, or were they something that they came to you later on in the series?
I always wanted to have a different power group, a different group of immortals. And it all depended on how long the series went on. Because
Yeah,
if it was a 3-book series, you have no need for this group. But it's basically like it's like an engine, it's a story engine to bring in a separate power group. And you only need it if you're going on a very long journey. You don't need to power
yeah,
through for 3 books, but if you're trying to go for 16 books or 30 books, you have to keep infusing this with blood and so it's basically the Morior are they're a story engine.
yeah. Okay, makes sense. I like them a lot. I do. I really like them. But they came in late to the series, so I was always curious if
Yes.
you always knew they were going to happen or not.
Well, I knew I there are certain characters that were definitely coming up, but to group them like that and to make them a force that needs to be reckoned with. And also I love it when if, enemies to friends, like, or enemies to allies. So all of a sudden you might have these immortals that have to ally with people that they've warred against
Yeah,
forever just to fight off this new threat. And that's very exciting to me. I love to read about it. I love to watch it on TV, and so I definitely wanted to do something like that.
okay. Um, Now the very important question. Can you tell us anything about the next IED book?
The next I don't want to I don't want to paint myself into a corner, but it's spooky and it's very romantic.
Oh, I love that. Very excited about that.
I
Yeah.
am going
Okay.
to
Well,
announce
I think
more
that's
soon
it.
on the
All
next
right.
IAD book. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very excited about that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Kresley, for answering all of the questions.
Oh,
Very
thank
much
you, Naomi.
appreciated.
Yes.
We did it.